this is part 2 of my modifications for my Epiphone Thunderbird bass. The reason why I did this is because I made a mistake in the last video, which I'm going to correct, and there's one other really important piece of information you have to know if you're going to make any modifications to the bass. As I said before in the last video, these are actually pretty good basses once you actually get in and do some work and put some basic tech skills and basic setups, and it sounds not quite as good as a Gibson, but it's close enough. Anyway, the first one, I said before that these pots were 500k, 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 which is the same as the Gibson Thunderbird use. Now these pickups here are SSB4s by Seymour Duncan bass lines. They need 250, 250, 250. The reason because of that is all pickups have DC impedance, and the higher the impedance you need, the higher the value of the pot. You can only assume that the Gibson Thunderbird TV Plus pickups have a very high impedance. So now these ones have a lower impedance, so you just take the values down. By doing this, it sounds a lot more smooth, but organic, less jaggy, which I think it sounds better, more so like a bass should sound in my eyes. If you like a more jagged sound, you can go for the 500Ks, or maybe you just take the pickup straight to the out jack. But no, that sounds more like the actual thing now. I mentioned before about turning the tone down to give more organic sound. With this setup, you don't need to quite as much, so that was more or less me correcting the 500k problem. Right, that's the main thing. Oh, you might notice I put some little stickers on here. These are just little vinyl transfers more than anything else. I'll put a link in the sidebar about what company does it. The reason why I've always thought that Thunderbirds would look absolutely awesome if they had the old Gibson style inlays to the dots. So it's not a real thing, but I don't really want to get a router out and try and fix it myself. So as far as I'm concerned, it looks right, so it's cool. It's just a little visual thing like my old cryogenic logo there. It does nothing, but it's cool. Right, the most important thing, how you bolt on a neck. Now, with anything, any kind of bolting, the body bit here, which it's being bolted onto, should have a clear run through, and the bolt screws into the neck itself, so that when you tighten it, it pulls against the plate. So it's sandwiching the body and gets a really tight grasp. That way the vibrations will transfer from the neck to the body really well, and you get a slightly better tone, apparently. It's a bit subjective. I'm going to make a video on this soon, because well, you'll see in a bit. Anyway, the Epiphone Thunderbirds, what they do is they clamp the neck in the factory, like so, and then just screw straight through this body and into the neck, which means that there's nothing actually clamping the neck to the body. It's maintained in the same tension that the factory has when they clamp it there. Now, maybe they had a really high tension and maybe it's really good, but you're not actually pulling it towards, so you're not going to get quite as good transfer. So all you've got to do is take the neck off and drill through the holes there, making them slightly bigger, just enough so that you can pass the screws through the body without actually having to turn it. Did that, and my Schecter bass, which I use most of the time, is the same case. They just drilled straight through both the body and the neck. So I'm going to make a video soon and compare the tone between pre-drilling, where it's just all the way through, and post, where it's actually clamping. And maybe there's a tone difference. If there is, then you should definitely do it and make a thing. If there isn't, then don't bother unless you actually like the idea of it. Another reason for doing that on drilling through is if you ever need to do any shimming or work or anything, it makes putting the neck back on a lot simpler, because if you try and put the neck on and screw into it like it is in the factory, if this is at a slight wonky angle, slightly up, slightly down, slightly to the side, it'll fix it in that place and you'll have a neck potentially a centimetre up or something. There's nothing to stop that happening, which maybe there's tone improvement, probably not, but I'd rather stick with the old method. Another reason for doing it is every single company which makes high-end basses with bolt-on necks, like Fender America Standard, just do that, so there's some reason for it. No, that's Epiphone Thunderbird bass. The sound clips are in my playlist. Just go and check them out. If you like what it sounds, then do it. Lots of people have been saying about where's the sound of the video, where's this? Well, it's not in this video because this is more of a tech video. Also, on playing styles, if you like slap bass, if you like funk, if you like doing things, that's great, it's your own thing. Go and buy a bass, make modifications, make video videos, but I'm not a funk player, I'm not a slap player, I'm not a pop player. I play pretty basic rock. I don't even say I'm that great, I just play when I play. And you know, if you play my style, then it'll help. Don't spend your mic to give us some ideas. So, that's the end of this video. I'll see you later.